Hey guys, in this video I will show you how to paint Scarlet Witch for Marvel Crisis Protocol. After it's assembled, you're going to want to put some green stuff around the edge. I like to do that just because it feels more incorporated to the base. And then give it a prime of light grey. Then I used a combination of red, white and also a fluorescent pink to do the legs and the arms, so her tights. The fluorescent pink isn't any particular Vallejo colour or anything, but if you can find a fluorescent pink somewhere, then you can use that. I found the red and white combination wasn't pink enough, so I just added some fluorescent pink. And then I used that same colour to do all of the magic. It took a little bit of time to get all the different sides and nooks and crannies. Next, take the fluorescent pink and some violet, again not a particular violet colour but any purple will do, and mix those together to create a really watery paint, so almost a wash. And then I covered the whole magic with that as well. So as you can see here, it's very watery, and then I just applied it to the whole thing, and all of the paint went into all of the nooks and created a shade. So a very fluorescent pink here again to create like a magic look. Then I took some bloody red and painted most of the rest of the model, so her body and her gloves and her cape and also her headband. You could do her feet now, but I just chose to leave them unpainted before I stick them onto the base. I kept the two pieces separate so I can glue them together later. It's quite important to do this, so it's easier to paint the cape. Next, take brown and black and we will paint the hair. Then I took a dead white and did a dry brush. So you can take an old brush and brush pretty much the whole model. So just to add some highlights. So all the raised edges should get hit by a little bit of white. I used just blue tack to hold her down to the top of a paint lid while I was painting her. Next, take Null oil and wash all of the red parts. So that will create a shadow for her clothes and for her cape and arms. You can also do the same to her hair to create some shadows. Then I took the bloody red and added some highlights. So the null oil will kind of tend to make everything quite dull and dark, so you can go back in with the red. Then I took a sepia wash and did this on her face. I actually missed a step earlier, sorry I didn't record it, but I painted her face with flesh shade. And that's pretty much complete. And this part was quite tricky, so I just made sure I videoed it. Getting her attached to the magic is a bit finicky. So what you want to do is put her foot into that point there, but first you need to position her hands within the circles. So you can tuck her right hand behind that one and then try and get her left hand as centered as possible. And then I used some plastic glue just to drip into the foothole. and made sure that was dry first, and then worried about adding some extra points where she would be attached. I ended up having about 4 points of contact where she was glued on the foot, on both hands, and then on the back of the cape. After that, you can take some Kislev flesh, and again, after the wash, it ends up quite dull looking, so I just brought up some more highlights on her cheeks and her nose. And then I used the bloody red to do her boots now that she's attached. And then the same process with non-oil. Once the boots are dry, give that a wash. And then you can once again go in with red and then add some more highlights. And then basing. So I take a medium grey here, no particular colour, but as long as you do all of your models the same, I just use a generic grey, and then after that I wash it with non-oil. And then take dead white, get an old brush, wash most of the paint off, and do a pretty heavy dry brush here, so that will bring back a light grey colour for the pavement. And that's pretty much done. The last thing left to do is to paint the black on the base, and then give it a varnish if that's what you're wanting to do. So I take black, and then I get a nice thick brush. Helps if it's got a good point to do the top. And this usually takes 2 coats, so I go around the whole base and then wait a few minutes and give it a second coat. And that's pretty good. That's done. And if you want to add some protection, I use a matte varnish, so that's from Vallejo too, and I shake it up and then just coat the whole mini. I find 1 coat is enough, but if you think you need more, you can do that too. And this is the finished mini. If you're interested in seeing some photos like this, you can follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.